Hey guys, it's Last Sun. I'm back doing another Journey Through the Cornellverse, and today we're taking a look at Mid-Atlantic Wrestling MAW. This is a community favorite and also kind of pushed as the company to book if you're looking for a tutorial. That's because they do one event a month. The roster is going to be really good, and it's going to allow you to book a smaller company, get a handle on the game before moving on to potentially other saves. The history of Maul is upon his retirement in 2005, wrestling legend Rip Cord used his own money to set up Mid-Atlantic Wrestling in his home city of Baltimore. A throwback to the old days of regional territories, hence their affectionate nickname, the Oasis of Old School. The idea behind the company was to provide an environment where young wrestlers could hone their skills and be prepared for life in the big leagues, an ethos that MAW still embodies to this day. Cord retired in 2011 and handed the company and its mission over to his friend Sam Keith. Under Keith's management, MAW has struck up a strong working relationship with TCW, an agreement that works well for both companies as MAW gets financial help, TCW gets the strongest possible training for their next generation of talent. So you're a tiny company, 55,000 in the bank, you're based in the Mid-Atlantic. Size-wise, you're 28 popularity in the Mid-Atlantic, 11 in the Great Lakes, 11 in the Southeastern Tri-State, 4 in Mid-South and New England, 2 in the Midwest, zeros the rest of the way, and you're also not going to have really any kind of presence in the rest of the world. As you can see here, it's ones, two, and no presence. So to achieve that next size, small, you need to get 35 in your home region of Mid-Atlantic. You're at a 28 right now. That's a very achievable thing to do. Just really depends on what you're going to do with your MAW. Are you going to continue trying to build up and become a huge company, take on the big guys, eventually sever that deal with TCW as you compete with them? Or you're going to continue just trying to build up the company the best you can while also sticking to that ethos of training the next generation, and as they get big, they move on to bigger companies, keeping that spirit of MAW alive. Either way, I think would be a potential fun save. Whether you're training the next generation, they move on, and then you keep tabs on them and see how they do, what they do. I think that would be pretty fun, as well as taking MAW to the top of the world. I think that would be a really good long-term save as well. Coverage wise, you have no coverage. That means you have no broadcasting. You could potentially take a look at that and potentially even get on WrestleWorld eventually, but you're going to have to get to that small, medium type size before you even think of that. We take a look at your events, and you have the 12 events, starting with the Ripcord Invitational. This is a very high prestigious tournament. You can bring in people from other companies, take advantage of the Alliance loan system to get some workers in for this Ripcord Invitational, make it a pretty cool event. Then you have Wrestling Classic, Super Showdown, Americana, Old School Rules, Band Festival. You have the Sam Keith Classic, Battle for the Mid-Atlantic, the Clash, where it all begins again. This is your season finale event, the Proving Ground, and then you have the Night of Champions, where the AI instructions are that all valid titles should be defended. You also have a dormant off-air TV show called Stanley Hall Showcase. But you have a pretty cool mix of events between your single tournament and then the Sam Keith Classic. is a tag team tournament. So pretty cool events to run through, each one a month. We take a look at your product. The style name is Old School Territorial, and the product is Modern Throwback. Used by modern companies who are looking backwards, this takes the approach from the Golden Age. Wrestling is treated seriously, but with a little showmanship. But it does add the work rate and style of the modern age. Your heel and face divide is strictly enforced in this company. Managers are used, stables really aren't right now. And you have spinal impact moves are not allowed, along with high risk moves are not allowed. So at your events, fans are going to expect 95% matches, 5% angles. TV shows will be 60 and 40. Your matches are going to be rated on a match quality versus popularity ratio of between 40 and 60 and 60 and 40, depending on what gets the best rating. So popular workers will do very well in this product. Fans will be upset by dangerous, controversial, or bloody match types. Matches less than 20 minutes will not be able to achieve world-class scores. Fans are going to expect matches to be quite lengthy. I know it mentions here lesser, throwaway, tour, or B shows, it's not going to apply, but we only do events one a month, so you're going to have important matches being lengthy. Quite a few matches will get penalized. Angles will need to be short, or they're going to lose the crowd. All workers will be expected to be using a gimmick, or there'll be a penalty. Fans will expect ongoing storylines. So I kind of think of the angles will be basically kind of like that old school WWF with, Mean Gene in the back interviewing, Hogan, Flair, Savage, etc. Those types of angles. So you're going to want to get somebody who's good on the mic that can do that, and then use the workers that have those mic skills to cut promos. Take a look at your booking team. You do have some options here, some really good skills between, Marvin Ernest, Sam Keith, even the historian here. They have some really good booking skill that can add to the CE of your booking company. And then on those events that you have those meetings, you'll get quite a bit of CE to work with to bring in your creative finishes, your angles and storyline ideas, character ideas, gimmick ideas. Your inner circle, blank slate. So obviously getting one of these positions will positively affect the workers' morale, gives them that place of power, potentially betters their relationship with you, and they'll become loyal to you potentially over time. So you can fill these in with those workers that you would like to build that relationship. Just remember that if you're playing MAW as the ethos says to do, which is these workers will leave the company eventually, your inner circle may change quite a bit over the years. So we take a look at your roster. Currently, you have 25 people on the roster, and these individuals here are individuals that have star quality of 70 or above. I like to look at that just to see who the stars are of the company. Obviously, at this size, star quality really doesn't come into play a ton. So this is just something I like to look at. So you have guys here like Lachlan Barrett, Mean Machine 2, Nate DeMarcus, Sandman Winks, the Historian, and Warlord Fear. So quite a bit of mix here of different skills, offering different things, each one of them. Some really young guys, rookies, etc. But this is a younger type company. If we take a look at the top half of your card, these are going to be your stars and major stars. We see people here like Cheetah Boy, who's 39, So he's kind of going to be the exception to the rule. He's the veteran presence. He had a lot of success elsewhere, and now has kind of come back to MAW to be the veteran presence that works with these guys and trains them up, etc. Miller Ford, 29-year-old, really good skills. He's, I would think, potentially going to leave the company soon, just to see how he does in other companies. So that would be something I would prepare for. Mitchell Aldred, this was the architect in 2020. Really excellent worker, excellent fundamentals and physicals. That primary and mentals there, psychology wise. He's pretty good on the mic. Star quality is a little lower than the 70 level, but I think this is another worker that eventually is going to move on to another company. Finally, you have Nate DeMarcus, another very talented worker, still pretty young and has a lot of star quality. Really good worker, I think. Your top of your card is in really good shape. It could eventually, and even fairly quickly, change to where these guys leave the company. But right now, at the start of the game, you have some really good workers at the top of your card. You take a look at the well-known to recognizable. This is going to be your mid card, the backbone of the roster. Going to have people like Aid Nelson, Copperhead, Joey Feely, Jonah Pilgrim, Josh Jacobs, Sandman Winks, Sean Noggin, Sion Tokoeka, Historian, Trix Triumph, Tyrone Gray, Warlord Fear, and Warlord Hate. So it's really a good mix of skills, youth, and experience to build your mid card around. You have some younger guys here who potentially could move into the top part of the card when your stars and major stars do happen to leave. Some of these guys are from TCW, and eventually you will get more workers from TCW. There's your unimportant level. These are going to be young workers or potentially older workers who are in time decline. The guys like Amazing Al Morian, who's 19, Bryce Holland, James Carter, Lachlan Barrett, Lockie Brandish, Mean Machine 2, Pepper Pelton, and Pretty Paul Story. So all of them have some pretty decent skills. Some of them look like they could potentially become stars either for your company, or if they're from TCW, eventually they'll go back to TCW and potentially be big stars for that company. But that's part of the fun, I think, of MAW. Your roster is kind of constantly being refreshed, and you're getting new workers in and getting young workers from TCW. You can scout the free agents, bring in those younger type guys, let them get experience and work. What I mean is the lore says these guys come in, they go out when they're ready. That constant turnover in your roster could be fun, because in some of the saves, if you play very long time, your roster is kind of the same. You're building all these guys up, and you could eventually burn out on your save because you just are seeing and booking the same guys over and over. With MAW, it's that constant turnover, and also the reason why I feel the company is kind of pushed out as that tutorial is because the ratings aren't as important as other companies where you're trying to build that company up. MAW is kind of happy lore wise to be in that lower level and not worry about making a huge push and trying to become the #1 company, because they like the fact they bring in the workers, train them up, and then they have success in the big leagues somewhere else. I think that's a pretty cool story, a pretty cool company, and that's why it's, I think, easy to learn with MAW. Like I said, there's no stables. Storyline wise, you have 3 of them. You have to have one storyline rated hot or above. Currently achieving this, you have to advance one storyline per show. So you have a historic achievement, riding high in MAW. The historian has said he wants to do something truly historic, run Mr. MAW, Miller Ford, out of the company. So this involves Miller Ford, Sandman Winks, and the historian. You have Pretty Annoying, a battle of young tag teams. The interference of a jealous Pretty Awesome saw Hot Property knocked out of the Sam Keith Classic in 2021. The two teams have been basically at each other's throats ever since. And then you have the Architect's Plan. Mitchell, the Architect Aldred, claims that he has a plan to bring down Nate DeMarcus and claim the MAW championship. It's pretty good storylines. They're going to be a lot of kind of basic storylines, but a lot of things, as you can see with the Pretty Annoying, that storyline came out of the Sam Keith Classic. Stories can come out of the Ripcord Invitational. These tournaments can create rivalries and potential feuds for you. Let's take a look at your titles before we look at teams. So your titles are the Mid-Atlantic American title. The current champion is the Historian. Current prestige is a 19. The Mid-Atlantic American is MAW's secondary title. Tends to get passed around the mid-card workers quite a lot. This reign has been going on for 99 days. There's been 2 successful title defenses so far. You have the Mid-Atlantic Championship, 33 current prestige. Current champion is Nate DeMarcus. The MAW Championship is a title that has a strong lineage of champions who can put on great matches. Simply put, you can't work, then you aren't going to wear the strap. This reign for Nate has been going on for 64 days with 1 successful title defense. You have the Mid-Atlantic Tag Teams, 24 current prestige. Current champions Warlord Fear, Warlord Hate. The Mid-Atlantic Tag Team titles have been held by some great teams over the years, although in recent years they've lost a little of their shine thanks to some thrown together tandems winning them. The Warlords here have been holding the belts for 36 days, no successful title defenses so far. Then you have the first of your 2 achievements and trophies, Ripcord Invitational. It's a 32 current prestige. Mitchell Aldred won it last year. So this tournament is one of the high points of the year for MAW, with 8 stars battling it out over the trophy. Greg Gage has set the standard with 3 wins and 4 years. So this is held in January at the Ripcord Invitational event. 8 people fight for it. You can bring in people from outside the company, guys from anybody in the COTT Alliance. Pick some guys, bring them in, get some popular guys, build that event up, have a really cool event. You have the Sam Keith Classic. It's a current prestige of 32. The current holders of this are Warlord Fear, Warlord Hate. Everyone looks forward to the Sam Keith Classic, as it's the time of year when MAW bring in some really great outside talent and put on a massive tag team tournament. The Sam Keith Classic is a primary level achievement for male tag teams. It's designed to be competed for annually at the Sam Keith Classic. It is fought for in a tournament, and it's because it's only one night, you're probably going to want to set it up with some teams and then maybe have 4 Eight's going to be kind of iffy trying to fit all of those matches into this and still have matches with some of your other workers. But that would be something that I would look at. You could bring in obviously some talent from the Alliance. There's a lot of good tag teams in the COTT. Bring those, teams in, have them compete with the teams you already have. I think this sounds really fun. Looking at your teams, you have teams like Hot Property, Jacobs, and Nelson. Pretty amazing. The Demon Lords. I was calling them the Warlords, but their actual name is the Demon Lords. The Past Masters, and the Wolfpack. So obviously being MAW, you're not going to have a child company. You're not going to have a developmental. You used to have a training facility. You don't have that anymore. But you do have a pretty good relationship with multiple companies from Coastal Zone, New York City Wrestling, Total Championship Wrestling. Obviously, you have that developmental deal with them. And then you are a member of the Confederation of the Territories. So I mentioned in the CZCW, I would bring back the World Tag Team titles for COTT and have those defended as well. That means you can have potential loans from other companies come in and fight for the belts. If there are other companies that have them as a champion, for example, Frankie Perez, you could bring in Frankie Perez and have him defend the World Heavyweight title on your show. And that would just add to that uniqueness and fresh lineups, fresh matchups for your fans, and also potentially give your workers another set of titles and achievements to give them popularity. Well, guys, this has been Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. This is a fun company to play as, have a save as. I always have one every year going back to 2010 version because that was my first version of TEW, and everybody recommended MAW as the tutorial company. So I kind of have a place in my heart for MAW and tend to have a save with them every year. You guys have any tips and tricks for MAW? Leave them in the comments below. What did you guys do with them? Do you stick to the ethos of training the next generation of talent and then moving them out? Or did you try to take MAW to the top? And how did you do it? What guys did you sign? Who works well in this product? What are some guys that people may not know that would work really well with MAW? So while you're down there in the comments leaving those tips and tricks, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 100. We may have reached it by the time you watch this. The support has been great from you guys. I really appreciate it. So this has been Journey Through the Cornellverse with Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. I'm Last Son. Keep playing, guys. Stay awesome. And I'll see you in our next video.